want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
In order to utilize your skills and enter the digital entrepreneurship space, the new National Chamber of Commerce and the new USA DRC Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with DIASPORA Academy, established in the United States of America, offers you training sessions in digital entrepreneurship at reduced costs. These trainings will allow you to enter the digital world and improve your digital skills for the benefit of this terre d'avenir and grand marché that is the Democratic Republic of Congo. As a free first-time participation, please send your WhatsApp contacts to 243-9907-30795. The first training will take place on August 15th at 1 p.m. from Kinshasa. Hurry because places are limited. Hurry because places are limited.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
Avez-vous besoin de nourriture? Appelez le 311 et demandez le centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture. Notre centre d'appel peut vous mettre en contact avec des ressources telles que Snap qui vous aidera à payer vos courses. Vous pouvez également recevoir de la nourriture et des plats préparés d'organisation de tout le comté. Le personnel du centre d'appel parle plusieurs langues et aide les membres de la communauté en anglais, espagnol, chinois, coréen et dans d'autres langues. Pour plus d'informations, visitez notre site www.montgomerycountymd.gov/covid19-food et vous serez informé des dernières ressources alimentaires. Encore une fois, appelez le 311 pour être connecté au centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting on Afrique Today, the #1 digital TV station out of Washington, D.C. I am your host, Pusi Matsiko, and then live from our studio in New York City. Did you know that we're live streamed on 4 platforms? That is YouTube, Facebook, Afrique Today, as well as Twitter. We're also on Smart TV. Today we're going to have an amazing guest who will be talking about voting and running for elections, and you'll hear it all. I can't wait for you to hear this information. You can also follow me on Instagram at Busi Matsiko, and then as well as on Facebook at Busi Matsiko. And then I look forward to an amazing show today. Stay tuned. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the African Grassroots Voting, Diaspora Voting on Afrique Today, the #1 digital channel out of Washington, D.C. Today we have an amazing guest who is none other than Dr. Akil Kokayi Khalfani, who is running for Congress for the New Jersey 10th Congressional District. Welcome, Dr. Khalfani. It's amazing to have you on Afrique Today.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here. It's a wonderful opportunity to share with the people what we're here talking about, the issues that need to be addressed, and just making sure that people are aware of our candidacy and talking to the folks. That's what we like to do, to make sure we can get the pulse of the people.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's amazing to have you. And as people, I would love to I'll just give a brief introduction of you, and you will tell us more about yourself, introducing yourself to the audience. Dr. Akil Kokayi Khalfani is a change agent, author, professor, and motivational speaker. He is a candidate for the U.S. Congress representing New Jersey 10th Congressional District. Dr. Khalfani earned a PhD and a master's degree in sociology from the University of Pennsylvania, in which he earned a graduate certificate in African Studies. While living in South Africa, he studied at the University of Pretoria. So, Dr. Khalfani, you're really a diasporan, and we welcome you to the African Grassroots Voting, as I've said. So tell us more about yourself and how about your journey to this point professionally, as well as what inspired you to run for Congress this time. Why now?
Yes. So first of all, I'm a long-term New Jersey resident. I've lived here in New Jersey in West Orange specifically for 22, 23 years now, and I grew up in Los Angeles, though, South Central Los Angeles. Moved out here this way to go to University of Pennsylvania for grad school, and I've been engaged in political activity ever since, even before then, while I was an undergrad at the University of California, Santa Cruz. And, I've always been inspired by those who came before me. And answering the main part of your question, what motivates me, people ask me that question often, and I let them know that the main thing that motivates me is I look back at someone like Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was someone who fought against enslavement of people of African descent, and she had the fire, the tenacity to push back and to strive for excellence even in the face of things that didn't look like they were possible. And I think that I've embodied that, and that's really, it resonates with me. And then when you talk about politics, I would argue that this is our time, right? That this moment is our season, and we've got to seize the moment. This season could be 6 months. It could be 6 years. We don't know how long it's going to be, but I do know that if we don't seize it, what's going to happen is that the same type of political badgering, the political backlash, the political rolling back will continue to happen, and we can't afford that. Our ancestors died for us to make change and to make progress, not for us to be going back to the 1600s, 1800s, 1700s. And if we look at the things going on in the country today, we see some of that roll back in terms of sentiment, in terms of people, the conflict between blacks and whites. And we've got to realize that if we don't find those allies, right, whether they're white or Latino or Asian or Arab, whatever it is, that we have to find the allies who are willing to push forward for justice for all, right, and for equity for all. And so those are some of the things that my campaign platform rests on, is ways to bring about people. I'm a consensus builder, and I think that we have the opportunity to do great things, but we have to build consensus.
Well, and you're running as an independent, progressive independent Democrat. Is that so?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let me kind of explain what that means. I
was just about to ask you, what does that mean?
Right. So a progressive independent Democrat. I mean, I've always been a registered Democrat. But I believe that we've got to push the envelope on what the Democratic Party stands for. And so there's been people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and lots of other progressive Democratic candidates who have, and officials who have pushed the envelope and have raised the banner to a new day. And I'm one of those people to say that we've got to open the doors for more people. We've got to think differently about what our politics means. And we can't rest on the things that were yesterday, because that's not moving the needle anymore. And we don't want to regress in our process.
Can you give us an example of that?
Of us rolling back?
No, as some of the things that you're running on that is different from the traditional way of doing things.
Right. So, for instance, let's look at environmental, right? The environment. One of the things is that a lot of people are pushing the Green New Deal. However, I think the Green New Deal has important things, but the way in which it's structured is that there's way too many things in it. And I think we have to focus specifically on the environment when we're looking at it. And so I've come up with a plan called the KEEP plan. In other words, and KEEP is spelled CEEP. And what that stands for is the climate change and environmental equity. A lot of times when people are talking about the environment, they don't have the issue of environmental discrimination in there. And I think that I'm a sociologist by training. And so when I look at issues, I put on a sociological hat. I put on a sociological analysis. And we've got to talk, when we talk about environment, what happens to the poor people? What happened to people in communities of color who are downstream from environmental catastrophes, who are downstream or downwind from environmental, in New Jersey, we have the incinerators, and there's people who are downwind from the incinerators. What happens to those communities? But right now, the people fighting, they don't fight for those things. And I'm someone who's going to be the voice of the people fighting for those kinds of things to make sure that we have upfront, hard pushing questions that we raise. I'm pushing for reparations. For me, reparations is a little different. I think that there's reparations is something we have to look at from a multi-phased way. So, for instance, reparations looking specifically at education is that I'm arguing that African Americans should have free education all the way up to a bachelor's. It was illegal for us to know our letters and numbers and illegal for us to read and write in many places in the country. And so what has that done to hold us back as a group to be engaged intellectually and into the development of the country? And we've got to, and so I'm arguing that we need education to be free up to a bachelor's to get to that point where we have better equity in society. So those are very different policy kinds of things than some of the people currently in office and in my in the incumbents push.
Some of them might say that it's how sustainable is it to have free education for all? You know, it's that's the question that they might ask.
Sure. So my thing about that is that what this would, in New Jersey, we have something called the CCOG, which is the Community College Opportunities Grant. And what that does is that it provides free community college for everybody if you're below a certain economic status. So if you're below 65,000, it supplements the gap between Pell and other financial aid means to fill that void there, right? So that if Pell takes you all the way up to being able to pay except for $1,000, then the CCOG would cover the gap. Well, I'm saying the same is true here, so that in all the way up to your bachelor's for African Americans, that the gap that would be filled would be Pell would be first, other funding would be first, grant funding, and then we would move to I haven't gotten a name for it yet, but the reparations grant that would be for people of African descent. So that's how so it's not, the number is not as big as maybe someone may expect, but because it's a supplemental grant as opposed to covering everything.
Okay, Dr. Khalfani, so for the average person who is listening today, how would this directly affect them in terms of tying this to the voting as well as the census?
Right. So my district, the 10th congressional district, is about 51 or 53% people of African descent, about 20-something% Latino. And so then, but although we're not necessarily just focusing on our district because this is Congress, we're focusing on the entire country. But this will give an opportunity for us we can pilot this, I would suggest, in the 10th district, and then we can roll it out other places as it goes, as we develop how it works and get the kinks out of it. And then so the kinks will be, maybe 2 years down the road, and then we look to for a national rollout after that point. So this gives us a staggered way of doing it so that we can see what the actual real dollar cost would be. We get to see how the implementation of it happens and what we have to do moving forward. And so the real benefits for them is that you have more people who are actually going to getting an education, going to school, and then using that knowledge for job development, for entrepreneurship, for intellectual and personal development, and then those that could increase the number of people who then have the opportunity to get a master's and a PhD or other kinds of professional training. So my objective is to see how that impacts other kinds of professional training in the process. And I think that this will give a good base from it, because today, having as someone who's been teaching at Essex County College for 15 years now, a bachelor's degree is almost the same as when I graduated as a high school diploma in terms of its being able to place you professionally. So we've got to think differently about what that means, because just a high school diploma doesn't take you very far anymore.
Okay, thank you for that information. I was also, one of the things, since you're actually in a college setting, you come from a college background, as a professor.
Yes.
How can we get the youth engaged? On what are you doing to engage the youth to participate in these elections?
So we've been doing a big push. As a matter of fact, coming up this week, I have a whole talk on why we must vote. And the point is that there's a lot of people I know who say voting is not important. And there's a lot of young people in particular who make that argument. And my thing is that people died for us to have the right to vote. And so we honor them by participating in it, and that we push the envelope on what it means to vote by redefining what it means to vote, right? So we don't have to only rest on the history of what those who came before us talked about, what they brought to the table. We also have the responsibility and the ability to take the discussion, the analysis to the next level. And so young folks, they've been organizing rallies and protests, and I've been participating in their rallies and protests. And we organized our own Justice and Peace rally, and we had a lot of young folks who came and participated in it because they're scared, they're enraged, and they are not going to sit by and allow the things that have been happening happen. And so some of that is that those of us who are a little bit older, we have the responsibility of providing guidance, as opposed to saying, oh, you guys are doing X, Y, and Z. Instead of critiquing them, how do we guide them to utilize their energy in the most productive ways so that we get the most benefit out of it? Because they're part of us. They are our progeny. And we've got to see what our responsibility is in terms of helping them to be successful in their righteous indignation.
You mentioned that. That's an interesting point. I mean, and leading to add to that, to follow up on that, how do you believe the racial climates and the events the events that have been around the racial injustices that we are seeing have what do you think the impact on this election is?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it has a huge impact. Unfortunately, some of the things that the executive branch, the president, has been saying has been insightful as opposed to de-escalating. I think that's the same thing that needs to happen in the police forces, that we need to think about how do we de-escalate as opposed to escalating these issues. And I think that we've got to bring that to the forefront. And I'm someone who has been an advocate and a someone who's able to bridge gaps. And I think that that's when we think about that, racism in part deals with trauma, that we've all been traumatized, both white folks and black folks and Latinos and Native Americans. Everybody's been traumatized by the American past experience of Jim Crowism, of sharecropping, of slavery. So that lived trauma lives in our bodies, right? And so we must recognize that first and then come to terms with that generational trauma that we then begin to heal from. And I think we can heal from that, but we have to recognize that it's there. And then those who are have a racial aggression, right? Whether it's known or unknown, sometimes people call it microaggressions and things of nature when they don't see themselves as having it, but that we need to point it out. We need to address it and help people understand that they are the perpetrators or the inciters of racist ideas and actions. And so that's why I wrote this book in 2005 called The Hidden Debate. I looked at affirmative action in South Africa and the United States, and we tried to understand how do we change the way in which we see the world? How do we see what racial dialogues and discontent was about, and how do we address it?
Wow. I mean, do you feel as a candidate, and in what ways has it impacted you, and what are the opportunities do you see as well?
I'm sorry, your question faded out and I couldn't hear you.
I was asking regarding the the impact of COVID-19 on the congressional elections as well as the presidential elections, and your candidature, as well as what are the opportunities have you experienced from this COVID-19 opportunity?
So COVID-19 has been problematic in many ways, but insightful in some ways. In terms of campaigning, we have not been able to really do a whole lot of getting out and engaging the public in ways that we would have in the past. We haven't had a lot of events. There's limits on having indoor events, and then even with political candidates, more people shy away from having certain things. So we have had to think differently about what that is and how we do it. Then the other part about it is about voting. A lot of people are scared to come out and vote, so they want to do vote by mail. But of course, the current administration has done some heinous things in terms of limiting what happens with the vote by mail process, and removing machines out of the sorting machines out of the post office, not paying overtime, all kinds of stuff that is hampering and causing more fear, both in employment for postal workers and in the probability of people thinking that they're going to get their ballots on time, get mailed to them, and then mailing them back out. So those are clear examples of the impact of COVID-19 on the electoral process. But it's also caused us to be innovative and to think differently about what it means to get out there and talk to people and interact with people. So we've had virtual fundraisers. We've had we've done social distancing bike rides to get out and know people. So lots of things that have been really kind of outside the norm of what the electoral process has been about. And we're continuing to innovate all the way up until the day of the election. We're going to continue to think differently, broadly, and to bring about the types of things that can make that happen. But also, I want to just touch on real quick on COVID as an issue across the United States.
1 second. You know what?
Sure.
I would love for you to talk about this after the break, because I mean, we have a lot to talk about, and let's leave it for the break. We will hear Dr. Khalfani as he continues to talk about everything about the U.S. elections, everything about running for office, as well as solutions, as well that he believes could help, and what you can do with regards to knowing exercising your civic duty. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting, and today we have Dr. Akil Kokayi Khalfani, who's been telling us about these U.S. elections. Again, I am your host, Busi Matsiko Anden, and Dr. Khalfani, welcome again. I would like to get back to your thought process on COVID-19 that you're trying to explain to us.
Yes. Once again, thank you for having me. So that with regard to COVID-19, I'm arguing that we've got to have a more holistic and comprehensive recovery idea and plan. I think that one of the things that in government in general is that a lot of things are not holistic. They're kind of piecemeal. And I think that a progressive new way of thinking about governance is, how do we have a comprehensive thing, not just for my constituency, but for the people of America, the people in representing New Jersey, the people of New Jersey, but also the people of the United States. And then we have to think about what is our place in the global world. And so with regard to the pandemic, there's so many people out of work, so many people who have housing issues. Mm-hmm. And I think that one of the things with the housing issues is that people who have mortgages, right, that some of them have had their mortgage payments delayed by the CARES Act, which is a great thing. But we need to push the CARES Act a little further, because we want to make sure that in the end, people are not paying double for their interest on the loan, that the part that was delayed. So the forbearance goes into the end of the loan, but we don't want mortgage companies and banks to capitalize on that, because then American people are going to be paying twice on the interest on those payments, and I don't think that's fair. So if we're looking at, if there was from some other reason, if something that the person needed individually, but under this pandemic reality, we cannot allow for the banks to capitalize on the dread and harm of people that has already come because of the pandemic situation. The second thing is really a mortgage foreclosure moratorium in general. One of the things that we have to look at, and this is within the pandemic, but also beyond it, its scope. Because if you look at what's going on in the mortgage industry and the foreclosure industry, I'm going to call it an industry, because people are losing their houses at such a ridiculous rate. And New Jersey is one of the largest hit states. And what happens is that if you lose your house goes up for foreclosure, someone can bid for it at a sheriff's auction for whatever the going rate is. So if your house is $300,000 or $400,000 or $200,000, whatever it is that this
Dr. Khalfani, sorry to interject here a bit. Please wrap up that point, because we don't have much time to cover some things that I would like to ask you regarding. So got it. So please wrap up your thoughts on that.
In the end, that we've got to do something to adopt a measure so that there's a moratorium on foreclosures is the bottom line. That's what I'm saying, is that we need a moratorium on foreclosures, period. The other things that on the pandemic is just that we've got to look at it in education. And so I have a whole education plan talking about the pandemic as well.
So people can go onto your website, those who are in New Jersey, to read more about you as a candidate and that kind of thing.
Yes, they can go to www.akilkhalfani.com. Okay,
wonderful. Yeah, so I wanted to find out from you how you're going about the issue of where can people go to vote in your constituency. People who are not sure about voting, how are you dealing with that?
Right, so we've put up, we have a list of all we have 18 municipalities, 3 counties that are within the 10th district, and we've put up all of the different county websites, the municipal websites, but we're also going to put up, once the list is finally published, all the locations where people can go and actually, because there's county drop boxes, but they're not finalized yet, and people can drop their things off personally in the county drop boxes throughout the counties. They've talked about having one in each municipality at the municipality building, but I haven't confirmed that yet. So as soon as we get the confirmation on it, they can do that. And then in New Jersey, the ballots are going to be mailed out on October the 5th, so people can mail them back as early as October the 6th if they want to, once they receive their ballots. But I would suggest that they take them to the drop-off place.
The question is, who is going to be on my ballot? What should I expect? And especially for first-time voters.
Yes. So, first of all, if you're in the 10th congressional district, I'm going to be on your ballot. So I encourage you to vote for me. You know, each county, the people are represented in different places. So in the Essex County, I'll be 3D. Hudson County, I'll be 3C, and Union County, I'll be 4D. So they move us around some. But you know, there's obviously going to be a line for the Republican, a line for the Democrat, and then the other candidates will be down below those issues. And my encouragement is for people in terms of voter education is that really spend some time, go to the people's websites. Don't just select down ballot because that's what the incumbents want you to do, but we always don't get the best representation when we do that. So my suggestion is that we need to educate ourselves. We need to be an educated populace. And by doing so, then we get the best candidate who can represent us, our issues well, and represent our communities well.
Thanks for that information. And how is the situation of partisan election administrators being dealt with, and how can that affect a vote of a different political view?
Yeah, well, you know, in New Jersey, it's a Democratic, or not just Democrat, but it's a party machine state, if you will. So you have Republican and the Democrats who have the lion's share of the votes in the state, and then you have they try to push their party line, that is the line on the ballot. And my thing is that. That people, I think people are kind of frustrated with that because they haven't gotten the outcome that they want. So therefore, that partisanship has continued to push people away from those parties because they are frustrated with what the partisan bickering and the partisan lobbying and the partisan.
More of the same to them. More of the same.
Yeah, exactly. More of the same and more of a problem. And we present
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I mean, also, are you involved in how people can, I mean, like with people who need help voting, what your recommendations are with that, you know, in your district or in New Jersey in general?
Yeah, we're going to put together we'll have it up on our website, but some instructions on how to vote, because it's actually very different in terms of the process of voting by mail. You have these 2 envelopes you have to put your stuff in. You have to sign off on certain things and not sign off on other things. So it can be very
someone
confusing.
else is helping you vote because you speak a different language, they have to sign off on that, you know, like swear kind of an affidavit.
Yes. But you can only do that with 2 people though in the state of New Jersey. So you can't. So like for instance, if I wanted to help somebody, I can't go help 1,000 people. That you can only submit 2 other ballots if you've helped 2 people in that way. So you have to people have to be mindful of that process.
People have to be very vigilant. They can't go, like, especially with I'm giving an example in different communities. There might be one person who likes helping. So that person cannot go help every Tom, Dick, and Harry because that could be a technicality and a bad
What
vote.
they can do is that they can train other people to help. And so that way you have a cadre of folks who are going out helping people. I think
that's very important info. And are you broadcasting that information? Because some people don't know this information. I mean, you know, you think, oh, I can help, but they don't know that you can only help up to 2 people. You can't help more than 2 people, but you can train other people to help others. But that, I think this information
we haven't done that yet.
Vital.
We're going to do that as we get closer to October, because we do it now and people don't get their ballots for another month, then you know you have a lapse of memory about certain things. So as we get closer to October,
and we'll also create fear. To create fear, may create fear, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it
I'm
can
just
create
asking
fear,
a
or
question.
just not recalling what the steps are, and then you got to go retrain people, and we don't have enough staff for that. So.
Yes. All right. It's just you're setting out your priorities right now.
Yes.
Okay. And then what about, is it true that there is early reduced voting, and what does this mean if it's true?
Yeah, well, there's been, since the 60s, there's been people trying to scare people about voting. And that's why we had the Voting Rights Act, right? So that these extra legal measures that governments and individuals were introducing to people, whether it was a poll tax or you had to read or write, or you had to do all these extra legal things. That's what that was what the whole purpose of the Voting Rights Act was to stop all of that. But now we have other kinds of things that are creating a different set of problems. So the whole issue with the postal service and not having the resources or closing down, the issue with mail being delivered slow intentionally is another one. And then having, in Florida, for instance, the last election, they had people being intimidated to get to the polls. So all of these things we have to confront on a national level, so that those kinds of, the Constitution bears the right for people to vote, but these extra legal measures are the things that people try to do in opposition to the Constitution. I can't hear you if you're speaking. Hello.
Dr.
There
Khalfani,
you
can
are.
you hear me?
I can see you and hear you now.
Okay, for a moment I think there was some technical difficulty. I couldn't hear you. I could hear you, but couldn't hear me. Yes, so I was asking you, I say I commend you for deciding to run for office, because there's not many people of color running for office.
Mhm.
And we need more people to participate in such decision-making opportunities. And so what would you tell someone who's thinking of running for office but is on the fence?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So my first thing is that, and this is, I believe, and this is what I retell my campaign committee all the time, and that is that being in the electoral process and winning an election is not winning. Winning is when you get into Congress and you're doing the work of the people, and you make changes to bring about more equity and more justice in society. And so that we're working right now to develop legislation so that when we get there, that we have the things moving forward that we're already working on. We don't want to be coming into office and then sitting there 6 months, a year, not doing anything, and then it's time to start campaigning again, because this cycle for Congress is only 2 years. So my suggestion is for people to come in with a plan, to come in planning to work hard in your campaign, and to put the people first as opposed to yourself first. This is not a job for like some in the past, maybe, that this is a job for you to be seen in a lofty position. This is a job for us to create a better society for our children and our children's children.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Khalfani. Please give us your closing remarks in 1 minute.
Okay.
And this has been a very entertaining conversation, and we definitely wish you the best as you run for office. And hopefully you can have some, yes.
Yeah, so I want to first of all just say thank you very much, Boosie, for inviting me here today. I really appreciate you, and I wish you much success in your program and in all the things that you and your family do. And for the people, I want to say that I'm looking forward to getting into Congress and working very hard on your behalf, working to bring about the types of meaningful change that will make the society a greater place for us all, that will create the environment for our children and for the next 2, 3, 4 generations, because I want us in the end to say, what pyramids did we leave behind for the generations to come? That means that what did we do today for people who are here 1,000 years from today? And I think we have the ability to do that, but we have to think holistically. And I'm someone who does that, who thinks holistically and really pushes the envelope on things and has solutions. And so I ask you to vote for me. I need your support. I need your participation to make this thing successful, and together we will win. Thank you very much. And go to our website, www.akilkhalfani.com. And every Thursday, we're on Facebook Live with a new issue that we're addressing. So check us out on Facebook and Instagram, and you can come and support us and participate in all the ways and bring us your issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Khalfani. I would like to thank our dear guest, Dr. Akil Kokayi Khalfani, for sparing time to educate us on important things surrounding the elections, as well as his jumping into the running for the congressional race for the 10th district of New Jersey's 10th district. Dr. Khalfani happens to be a change agent and a professor, as well as the head of global international, the Global Center?
Center for Global Education and Experiences.
Yes, at Essex County Community College, as well as head of Africana Studies there. It's been an honor, and I would like to thank you all, my dear audience, for joining us. And I can't wait for you to join us next week on the African Diaspora Grassroots Voting. I am your host, Pusi Matsiko Andan, on Afrique Today. You can also follow me on Busi Matsiko Andan on Instagram, as well as Busi Matsiko Andan on Facebook. Till then, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
Avez-vous besoin de nourriture? Appelez le 311 et demandez le centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture. Notre centre d'appel peut vous mettre en contact avec des ressources telles que Snap qui vous aidera à payer vos courses. Vous pouvez également recevoir de la nourriture et des plats préparés d'organisation de tout le comté. Le personnel du centre d'appel parle plusieurs langues et aide les membres de la communauté en anglais, espagnol, chinois, coréen et dans d'autres langues. Pour plus d'informations, visitez notre site www.montgomerycountymd.gov/covid19-food et vous serez informé des dernières ressources alimentaires. Encore une fois, appelez le 311 pour être connecté au centre d'appel d'accès de nourriture.
Salut madame, salut monsieur, bienvenue donc sur Afrique Today. Nous sommes ici où se déroule actuellement Census in Our Community, une édition très spéciale organisée donc par ESIDA et Afrique Today donc venir couvrir cet événement qui se déroule ici à Wheaton dans le Maryland. Donc un événement vraiment très grandiose parce que ça fait en sorte que la majorité des gens doivent venir on doit compter donc le public qui est donc venu ici massivement, ici dans le Montgomery County, pour essayer d'avoir tout le monde qui sera donc compté ici sur place dans le Montgomery County. Donc nous sommes donc toujours ici ensemble et nous allons prendre beaucoup des impressions des gens qui sont donc venus ici très nombreux voir ce qui se passe ici au niveau de Costco. Alors Afrique Today est là et nous sommes là et c'est une très grande campagne que le gouvernement donc de Montgomery County donc a décidé donc d'organiser ici dans le Maryland pour que tout le monde soit compté dans ce census, le census donc 2020. Donc c'est un événement qui se déroule tous les 10 ans. Alors celui qui n'est pas compté, le compte il perd beaucoup d'argent. Il perd donc beaucoup d'argent. Donc vous pouvez donc aller directement sur www.2020census.org donc et vous pouvez donc mettre tous les membres de votre famille et être sûr que tout le monde est donc enregistré pour cette campagne donc le compte a organisé. Donc nous invitons donc la communauté africaine et toutes les personnes et la majorité des gens qui nous regardent actuellement à aller s'enregistrer parce que c'est très important pour les écoles, c'est très important pour les infrastructures du Maryland. Donc Afrique Today ici sur place, vous pouvez regarder ce qui se passe là autour de moi. C'est une campagne hyper grandiose. Et bien sûr, ici d'ailleurs ici sur place avec son manager, son coach Fofo, qui est là partout, qui supporte ce que la communauté fait. Et Afrique Today est ici. Donc restez avec nous parce que les choses sérieuses ne font que commencer ici là. Donc nous allons rester ici jusqu'à la fin et nous allons prendre certaines interviews et nous allons voir des gens qui vont nous dire ce qu'ils pensent du census. Donc à bientôt, restez avec nous. Nous sommes toujours sur Afrique Today. Merci.
Hola gente latina, estamos sumando números, estamos esperando que se anoten para el censo. Ustedes saben que todos los que podamos contarnos cuenta para las ayudas, los beneficios que podamos recibir en el condado. Es importante para las escuelas, para todo el número de buses, de policías. Estamos esperando que la gente esté consciente de que debe anotarse, tenemos que contarnos y ser un número cada vez más grande. También queremos que cuando voten piensen en toda la fuerza latina, lo que necesitamos. Cuando más somos, más podemos hacer. Gracias.
Xin kính chào quý vị khán giả, tôi tên Nguyên Lê, đại diện cho nhà Việt Nam. Hôm nay tôi rất vui được tham dự cùng với lại team Census ở quận Montgomery. Ngày hôm nay là ngày rất đặc biệt, là đây là cái tuần cuối cùng mà cái Census sẽ được thực hiện và kết thúc vào ngày 30 tháng 9 sắp tới. Cái việc mà tham gia đăng ký vào cái thống kê dân số Census 2020 là rất quan trọng. Nó nhằm mục đích là để đảm bảo cái ngân sách cho cộng đồng và người dân ở quận Montgomery nói riêng và cả nước Mỹ nói chung. Cái việc mà mọi người đăng ký có cái ý nghĩa đặc biệt là tất cả mọi người đều được đếm, đều được tính, để đảm bảo rằng là không ai lọt, và chính phủ sẽ dựa trên cái số lượng đó để toan tính đủ cái ngân sách cho tất cả mọi người, cho tất cả các dịch vụ mà người dân đang cần, bao gồm cả trường học, y tế, sinh hoạt hoặc là những cái dịch vụ an sinh xã hội khác. Và do vậy đó thì rất mong rằng là tất cả người dân trong cộng đồng quan tâm đăng ký, và đây là cái cơ hội cuối cùng mà chúng ta sẽ được đếm, được tính trước khi mà cái đợt thống kê dân số này kết thúc vào 30 tháng 9 sắp tới. Và sau đó là chúng ta sẽ đợi đến 10 năm sau thì mới có cái đợt thống kê dân số nữa. Rất mong là mọi người cùng chung tay và tham gia vào cái đợt thống kê dân số quan trọng này, Census 2020. Cảm ơn.
Buenas tardes, estamos aquí para ayudar a las personas que no han completado su censo a hacerlo este día. Estoy aquí como voluntaria para el condado. Estamos dando información acerca de por qué esto es importante. Lo tiene que hacer antes del 30 de septiembre. Y cualquier otra información que la gente tenga, estamos aquí para responderlo. El censo es importante por dos cosas. Primero, porque es un conteo de la población que ayuda a asignar el número de representantes en el Congreso que necesitamos como comunidad. Pero la segunda y lo más importante y que tiene mayor impacto en la vida de todos nosotros es de los impuestos que usted paga al gobierno federal todos los años. Usted, cuando se hace constar en el censo, regresa $18,000 por cada persona que usted cuenta en el censo. El gobierno federal regresa $18,000 por cada persona al condado de Montgomery. Ese dinero se usa para pagar cosas como la infraestructura de caminos y para tener buenas calles. Eso paga también cosas como comida gratis para la distribución de comida que tenemos en diferentes puntos del condado. También es importante, por ejemplo, para pagar servicios de cuidado médico y también, por ejemplo, almuerzos en las escuelas. El condado se conoce por su calidad de educación y eso se paga con el dinero de los impuestos. Así que cuando se hace contar en el censo, regresa ese dinero a la comunidad para poder darle servicios de calidad. Así que, por favor, si no lo ha completado, por favor, nada más toma 10 minutos, es súper fácil y es información que se convierte nada más en estadística. No se comparte y es seguro. Muchas gracias.
Oui, bonjour madame, mademoiselle, monsieur. Nous sommes devant le Wheaton Plaza, ici à Costco, où nous l'entourons dans les derniers jours de la fin de la clôturation de Census 2020. Nous exhortons toute la communauté de sortir aujourd'hui pour remplir leur devoir de se compter dans cette sensation de Census où nous sommes aujourd'hui presque arrivés à la fin. Donc nous invitons toute la communauté de venir sortir ici pour que nous les comptons. C'est important de compter les gens parce que ce census, ça se passe tous les 10 ans. Et si nous ne comptons pas, le comté va perdre de l'argent. Et dans notre communauté, nous invitons tout le monde. Tous ceux qui ont une adresse et qui vivent dans le Montgomery County sont appelés à venir faire cet devoir de civisme où on veut compter tout le monde. Donc on est à Wheaton, devant le Costco, où nous invitons tout le monde, ceux qui sont encore à la maison, de venir nous voir ici pour qu'on puisse les compter. Si vous n'avez pas d'ordinateur ou de smartphone à home, vous pouvez aller sur le www.census.gov où vous pouvez aussi vous enregistrer par cette manière. Ou vous pouvez aussi téléphoner, où les gens peuvent vous en donner et vous aider à aussi enregistrer pour le census. Sur ça, nous sommes là, il y a de l'ambiance ici. Oui, venez massivement pour qu'on puisse finir en beauté cette census 2020 pour que notre communauté et le Montgomery County puissent avoir beaucoup d'argent pour remettre dans les aires jeux, les hôpitaux, les écoles pour les enfants, pour que nous vivions très bien. Merci sur ça et à bientôt. Oui, nous sommes devant le Wheaton Plaza, devant le Costco, où nous sommes dans les derniers jours de census. Ce droit, ce devoir de recensement dans notre communauté. Et ce soir, nous avons la chance d'avoir la directrice de Community Organizer, Diana. Diana, can you introduce yourself to our community, please?
Bonjour. My name is Diane Vu, and I'm the director of the Office of Community Partnerships for Montgomery County.
Diana, what is very important about census in our community?
So we're here today to making sure that everybody in Montgomery County is counted. It's important because for every person that is counted, the community receives $18,250 over 10 years for schools, neighborhoods, hospitals, and more. So it's important that every single person is counted.
What is it needed to be filling the census application? Do people need anything?
No, the only thing you need is to know your address and how many people live in your household. That's it.
How many days we still have to completely done census? You know, or is there going to be any extension?
So as of right now, the census is supposed to end on September 30th. There was a court case and a ruling that says the census may go through October the 31st, but it doesn't matter when the census is supposed to end. We want you to do it now. It only takes 10 minutes, regardless of when the deadline is. As soon as you hear this message, go to 2020census.gov and complete the census right now.
But today is a beautiful day, and we have a lot of crowd here.
Yeah.
What can we do more to excite more people to come so we can win, or maybe hit the 10 years ago record from census in Montgomery County?
So it doesn't matter if it's a beautiful day or if it's a rainy day or if it's a cloudy day. You can do the census from your home. You can visit 2020census.gov, and you can also do it over the phone. Again, it only takes 10 minutes, and you don't need to come outside. You can do it from the comfort of your own house, and just also make sure that everybody that you know is also counted.
For those who don't have a computer, but is there any number they can call to help to fix it?
Yes, there is a phone number, and the phone number that they can call is 844-330-2020. That's 844-330-2020.
We're closing to census, and then we know as election is in the corner.
Yeah.
While our community needs for to make a change is a crucial. What can you have to people who are home now who have a right to vote to come out and register and vote?
Yeah, so there's two things that we're telling the community. Not only to stand up and be counted by completing their census, but we also want to make sure that people vote. So in order to vote, to get more information, just text the word VOTE, V-O-T-T, to 77788.
Diana, we are very thankful to have you in this community with all your hard work and devotion. I believe we're going to be a winner for this census. It's going to be successful for the county, and then our community will be safe by whatever we're going to get through this census. What is your last word for our community?
No, thank you. I mean, I am proud to be a part of this community. I grew up in Montgomery County, and it's important for all of our communities to be counted. And the only way that we can ensure that that happens is we make sure that everybody goes to 2020census.gov and to stand up and be counted now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sur ça, madame, mesdames, messieurs, nous venons de finir avec la directrice de Community Artists qui s'occupe de census à Montgomery County, qui invite tout le monde, ceux qui n'ont pas encore fini de se compter, d'aller sur www.2020census.gov pour aller se remplir ce devoir, parce que c'est très très important pour notre communauté, c'est très très important pour le county, pour que cet argent ne soit pas échappé, que nous l'ayons, pour que nous faisons arranger les choses pour nos enfants, pour arranger les écoles, les hôpitaux, les aires de jeu et beaucoup de choses dans ce census qui va s'achever dans quelques jours. Sur ça, merci mademoiselle, monsieur, et nous voici encore sur Afrique Today, une digital TV dans Montgomery County.